Hello, everyone, and welcome again, and a special warm welcome to David Les, Ghassan, Manasra, and Anat Lev-Or from the Abrahamic Reunion. And for those who don't know me, I'm Jenny Nemko, the founder of TalkMatters. And TalkMatters began just over a year ago with the purpose of raising awareness of the many cooperative Israeli-Palestinian initiatives and to serve as an umbrella group for like-minded organizations to exchange ideas and share resources. And over this last year, our first year, we've written articles, given talks, and put on 8 webinars showing the work of initiatives that all enable Jews and Arabs to meet and talk together. Initiatives such as Women Wage Peace, the ACO Arab Jewish Community Center, and the Bereaved Family Forum, amongst others. Faith also brings people in Israel-Palestine together, and I'm quoting numerous people when I say, if religion is part of the problem, then it can also be part of the solution. So we have with us this evening a faith-based initiative, the Abrahamic Reunion, to help us try to work out if religion can help to create peace in Israel-Palestine. Now, I must tell you what attracted me to the Abrahamic Reunion and made me want to bring it to your attention was the story I read of one of their peace activists, a guy called Mohammed Jamus, and he met a religious Jewish man called Abraham who'd run out of petrol in the middle of the night at the En Gedi Israeli checkpoint. And reading their story, I could really feel the fear. From Abraham's point of view, he'd never talked to an Arab before. Maybe Muhammad hated Jews and would do something bad to him. And from Muhammad's point of view, he could find himself in trouble with the authorities if he has an Israeli in his car. Both men were frightened of each other. And nevertheless, Muhammad drove Abraham with a can full of petrol back to his car. But that's not quite the end of the story, and you can read the story for yourself on TalkMatters website. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping before I introduce our speakers. We are recording this so we can send to people who weren't able to be with us. And if you don't want yourself to be seen, then we advise you to turn your camera off. David, Anat, and Ghassan will be speaking for about 40 minutes, and then we'll have a question and answer session. And you can please write your questions in the chat box, and I'll read them out, and maybe I'll ask you to unmute yourselves if you want for some of the responses. And we hope to finish by 7:15. Now, let me introduce our speakers. David Les is one of the founders and the chairman of the US board of the Abrahamic Reunion. David is the global dean of the Universal Worship, an organization in 30 countries that recognizes the commonality in all religions. David has taught meditation, conflict resolution, and interfaith dialogue all over the world for over 40 years. Now, Anat Lev-Or. Anat has worked together with Ghassan, who I'm going to introduce you to, for about 25 years, well before Ghassan and I reckon Anat was involved with the Abrahamic Reunion. And they've worked together on many projects, including multi-faith study groups for teachers and school executives. Anat also organizes family encounters so that people from religions other than their own can meet and talk together and begin to recognize a different culture. And now, Ghassan, he is an ordained Sheikh in the Qadiri Sufi order. Ghassan is the founder of Anwar il-Salam, the Lights of Peace Center, and the director of the Islamic Cultural Center, both are in Nazareth. He lectures on historic and contemporary Muslim issues and has been active as a peacemaker with the Abrahamic Reunion for over a decade.
Greetings to everybody, and thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Daniel, for doing all the work. We are really happy to be here today. And I will tell you a little bit about how I got into this. And it really has to do with the phrase "talk matters." I was in Israel in the year 2000, and I went there. I teach meditation, and I went there with a group of people who studied with me and still do, and I study with them. And I was very interested in the possibility of peace in Israel and in Palestine. And I began to wonder what role the religious leaders were playing to bring about peace. At the time, as was said in the bio, I was the dean of the Universal Worship, an organization that worships all the different religions on the same altar, has readings from each of their scriptures and so on. And I sought out different religious leaders who were peacemakers, not necessarily politically involved, but involved in really bringing about a feeling and an experience of peace. And I found, much to my amazement, frankly, that these beautiful women and men who really were devoting their life and their work to bringing peace weren't working together. They weren't working against each other. There just was no overarching umbrella that would pull people together, these powerful leaders. And I had a friend who was very interested in this, and I spoke to this person and I said, look, I would really like to bring these people together, but doing so in Israel has a lot of distractions. So this person said, well, look, why don't you go outside of Israel and I'll pay for everybody. Subsequently, by the way, he's lost all of his money. But at that time, he was very generous. And we brought everybody to Istanbul and a second meeting in Cyprus. And we did nothing but talk. And there were some really eloquent, deep individuals sharing a burden that they carried individually in their hearts. And we're so happy to find and to know, they knew of them, but to know these kindred souls, these women and men who had been dedicating their life in their work to bring about peace. And so out of that, the Abrahamic Reunion was born. This was 20 years ago or so. And I had one other event that changed me quite deeply. I've now been to Israel many times, but right after we founded the Abrahamic Reunion, I was there with, again, a group of friends and students, maybe 10 or 12 people. And there was a bomb that went off about 200 meters from where we were. And I was with my son, and you didn't know this story, Ghassan, I could see from your face. I was with my son, and I turned to him and I said, that can't be what I think it is. And he looked at me and he said, Abba, that is just what you think it is. And then he said, what are you going to do? So out of that experience, my life was deeply changed, deeply, deeply changed. So that's just a bit of background, and I think I've used up my 5 minutes, and I will not just gladly, but very respectfully turn over the speaking to Anat, a dear friend and a sister who carries the torch of human liberation, human freedom, human respect, and human dignity for each other. Please, Anat.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Well, it's a difficult story. I will start from this point. First of all, I apologize for my English. But I'm sure it will be okay and you will understand you feel my heart. I'm from Israel. I was born here. When I start school, it was my first war, the 6 Days War. And I saw the bombs. And my grandfather said I think most of the years that he was living, he said, well, when you become to be an older one, you don't have to serve in the army. We don't need army here in Israel. And of course, I had too many wars. I was serving in the army. My father got hurt. He became to be a person with a physical disability. In the time of the establishment, Israel, the state Israel. And I was serving, my brothers were officers in the army, my son served, and he got hurt too in a Gaza border. And it's not easy to live here in Israel, as you understand. And in a minute, I think the pogroms that we had here in Israel this year, it was really, really frightening. And after this, I talked with Ghassan that we make a lot of projects all over the 25 years, I think. We teach together Quran and the Bible. We make a lot of projects with parents, the children, with religious leader. And we decided after this year, the war that we had, and the pogroms that we had, to do something else. We felt that we need to go to the religious people, to the religious leader, and to do something with them that they will, they have influence on their community. And we decided to start with the Imam, the Muslims, and maybe to work with them after them with the Christians and the rabbis, and to do something that the people here will start talking together. I remember when we start meeting, my neighbors and even my son's friends asked, what's your mother doing with Arabs? Doesn't she afraid from them? And I was growing in at my home, my parents, there's a lot of racism. They told me since I was a child, I have to be afraid from Arabs. They want to kill me. There's so many sentences that I heard during the years. If I meet somebody, he will hurt me, he will kill me. They want to throw me to the sea. And that's how they raised me. And when they heard that I have a relation with Ghassan's family and with him, and I make a lot of projects with them, they become to be so afraid. And they couldn't understand what I'm doing. And then I decided to meet them with Ghassan's family. And suddenly they met a person, as we are. And it was a miracle. It's become to be one bigger family. And they came to Jerusalem with us and to Nazareth. And I felt that if I succeed with my family, I can do it all over. Because they really, you see, they were so afraid, and the believers was like, we can't live together, that's for sure. But it's war. If you meet an Arab people, you see the death in your eyes. It's a sentence in Hebrew. And since then, we make so many projects, and we saw the influence that someone meet the other, he meet himself. I believe, my belief is that if you meet and know something about his history, his arts, music, food, you can feel that he's the same person as you. You have parents, he wants like you that your children will be alive, and you feel that you can find in yourself the power and the courage to go through your fear and to meet yourself. And I think I'm not sure the politician wants peace, but I'm sure the crowd, the people here in Israel, and maybe all over, and the religion leaders can bring the peace. And I really want to think, maybe like my grandfather, that my, I don't know, my son, his family that we will have someday, we live in peace in Israel. And I really believe that we can do it. And I pray for this, but I make a lot of things for that. And I don't know if I will see it, but I think that if we make a lot of meetings and we will talk about it, and the religion leaders will come with us from all over the country, we can do it. And the politician will not have any way to avoid from this voice. So inshallah, I hope it will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, Ghassan, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great to hear both of you, David and Anat, and it's my pleasure really to be with you. Thank you, Jenny and David, all of you, to invite us to give us the opportunity to talk to you about our work, what we are doing, where we are from, and why we are here. It's very important to say that in the beginning, as we say that, where are you live? I'm between USA and Israel, and between I'm passing to Europe and different places to create more and more ways and alleys for our work, for peace, for understanding, for connection, for meetings the people. I as a Sufi Muslim Sheikh, I raised up in this family, this a very I cannot say old family like the old country of USA. I'm maybe I'm a little bit elder. I belong to the family of the Prophet Muhammad. I belong to the Holy Family. And my family began from the beginning as a Sufi family to create lots of connection and interfaith dialogue. But I can say I'm the second generation of peacemakers. My father began this long ago. And, I jumped to this path in 1985. I was very young, and believe me, I was young one day. I raised in Nazareth. I'm the man of Nazareth. I'm not Jesus. I'm one of the followers of Jesus there from Nazareth, as a great prophet. And after that, I moved to be in USA to work deeply in Abrahamic Reunion with many other people like David Less, like Michael, like Chris and Anat and others. In addition to my work, because this is one of the questions, I give lectures about the situation in the Middle East and in different places, like about Islam, modern Islam, what happened with Islam, and also to talk about the conflict and how to deal with the conflict and how to deal with peace. It's a very important question, and a very important point. The people say we need to create peace and to deal with conflict. No, you need to work with conflict and with peace, and you need to deal with peace. It's very important to mention this because peace is not so complicated, but not so easy. As Anat mentioned, the world is kind of a great place to live in. But it's sometimes some people use the psychological game to separate the people. And we know who is this people. But sometimes, you know, you need to close your eyes to create a different kind of work to bring the people to be together and to love one another and to understand one another. As Anat say, I cannot say this, all of the politicians. Sometimes you have a holy politicians that they can support you, but mostly politicians, they need to serve their own interest. I hope there's no politicians here. Okay. And it's very important to understand that, because we have the experience, Anat and I, from Israel and Palestine and the Middle East. What is the situation? But a very important thing, we know that there is a big game in this world. If the people play the game, you need to be a very great player. Remember this, you need to be a very great player. I remember when I began my first steps in this path, and one of the greatest teachers of how to be peacemaker, he teach me to be peacemaker. He said to me, Ghassan, don't lie. Don't lie. Because if you lie, you'll demolish your steps, you'll demolish your path. And don't steal the position of the others. It's very important to be clear here, to be you, to be Ghassan. If you'll be Ghassan, you can create your path, and you can create your work, and you can create lots of understanding and lots of connection and lots of work. Why I say all of these things? Because these things is the elements for all of our work. I work with many groups in Israel. I can say, I don't like to say about myself, I did and I make, but you know, I'm small servant in this path. But the most important thing is to say that I almost about 90% of the organizations in Israel, I shared, Anat and I, to initiate and to create. And I met many people. They work with you to steal the land of peace, to steal the understanding between the people, to take for themselves. We know that. It's part of the human desires, but to be a real peacemaker, you need to create, you need to do, you need to work, you need to sometimes to give, and sometimes you need to push the delete, to delete your evil inclination, and to say, I'm part of you, because all of you are me and I part of you. We began with Abrahamic Reunion to create a very great things in the Holy Land. As David Liss mentioned, that when they came and they began to create lots of work in Israel, yes, it's true, because you know, Israel is a very great country and the Palestinians very great nation, as the Israelis. Both of them, they are so great. I think all of the people all around the world, they are very great. And the most important thing is we don't need to believe everything saying about this group or that group. The most important thing, this is our work in Abrahamic Reunion, to say, okay, believe yourself, ask your heart if you will be okay with other people or with these people. You will be okay. Don't worry, go to work, knock the door and open the door, enter there and try to create lots of connection. You know, the problem is not peace or not peace. The problem is the misunderstanding. We are misunderstanding the other. Sometimes we are misunderstanding ourselves. The conflict happened within us. The most important thing is to clean ourselves. You know, there is a great Sufi from the 13th century. He say, if you need to clean your path and to create a great way for connection and understanding the people, clear the mirror of your heart. Because if you need to see very well from the window of your heart, you need to clean the window. You need to clean the mirror of your heart. If you'll clean the mirror of your heart, you can see everything so clean. I would like to say that the most important thing in Abrahamic Reunion is to create not only our steps of today's, we will create the future steps for the new generation, the other generations. We are part of this generation, but the most important thing is how to create the future for the new generation. We know we live in a very complicated world. I don't know why, but it's very important to understand that we have the power. The people have the power, not only the leaders. We are part of this life. You know, I'm Israeli. I'm Arab, Muslim, Israeli. You know, I'm living. I have the Israeli citizenship and ID, but because I belong to Israel, and also from the other side, I belong to the Arab world. You know, Arab world is continue Christians and Muslims. Then we are Jewish, Christians, Muslims, and Druze also from the Holy Land. We need to create the best. We need to create the great things for to bring the people be together. And I say that is the Holy Land, and all of the world is holy. Very important to light our candles. The inner candles. If we light the inner candles, I think we can create a light for the others. Will pass from this path, from this way. And I have more 5 minutes. I think it's very important for all of us to say that if we will continue in this path, we need to be very, very ready to do the best things, as Shahabuddin mentioned now about the bomb that he had. I can tell you, when I pass in Jerusalem 3 or 4 times, many times I saw the bombs. It was so close to me. And one day I was riding a bus in Jaffa Street. I got out in the station. The next station, the bus, boom. You know, the bus, boom. You remember that, Anat? It was, I told you about this, and you called me. And what happened there? It's a very, very, very difficult situation. We need to repair. We need to heal this situation. And most important thing I want to say, as a peacemaker, it's very important to say I'm a peacemaker. Really, it's very important to say and very easy to say. If you are away from all of the conflict, you are a great peacemaker. But the test is to be within the work, within the conflict. And I say, the honest people, they say, we will not stop, we will continue. And I remember when I met David Less, Anat, we met also long ago. All of us, we create a covenant that we will not stop, we will continue. We'll create the best, we'll bring everything to be a peace and understanding. I want to say something. Our religions, not our religious, our religions pushing us to create peace. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie, don't. All of these things teaching us to be very honest and to be very strong. And the peacemaker, as I say, can be peacemaker even if there is lots of sad elements or dark elements all around her or him. And you need to continue. Don't say, this time of conflict, we will work tomorrow. No, this is your time to work. This is your time to work. And don't let anything pass next to you without to create a new steps, a new thinking for these things. In Abrahamic Reunion, we have projects of women, as Anat said, a project of youth, project of clergies, project of studying text, project of grassroots people, and traveling people. It's very important to do all of these things. And also soon we will have in December, I have 2 minutes, I'll finish soon. In December, we will have the AR Summit. It's international summit. We'll be happy to invite all of you to be with us in this summit. This time we will have the summit in Nazareth, the city of Jesus, and in northern Israel. And next year we will see where we'll do our next summit. But we feel as Abrahamic Reunion that we are part of all of you, and you are part of us. Because all of us, we are one. As many people say that I belong, now you mentioned that I belong to your family. But sometimes you cannot see me inside the house. Invite me, I will come to be with you. I will help you. We have lots of common things to do together. In additional, sometimes, they created for us this conflict between all of us, religious problems, economical problems, work problems, but we have million common things to deal together. If you'll give me your hand, I'll give you my hand. And if you'll be with me, I'm with you. Even if you will not be with me, I'm with you. I need to come to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those really beautiful words. Thank you. I have a question here from Stephen. And he says, frequently I've heard from people that, for instance, with violent attacks and violent language by religious Jews and Muslims in Israel and Palestine, that he's heard that religion is a source of violence and hate, not peace and dialogue. What would you say to them? Dave, I don't know. I was going to call on David because we haven't heard much from you.
Look, there are many human beings on this call right now. There's maybe 30 people on this call. We have many different points of view and many different opinions, but we agree fully with something that Ghassan said. We are all part of each other. And when there are people who forget that, when there are people, as Anat said, who close their heart, then there's no connection. Then the limited ego of the human being comes forward. And what's the limited ego? Me first, not you. I'm more important than you. I'm right, you're wrong. And that creates an atmosphere where we can raise children and tell them, these people will kill you. And it's an ongoing trauma that happens again and again, not just in Israel and Palestine. I've worked in India, I've worked in many places in the world. It's always the same thing. There is an insecurity that forces a trauma. And out of that trauma comes wounding, and that wounding can take generations to heal unless there are a few voices in the wilderness, which is all of you on the call, to say, no, it's not that way. I know Ghassan. He's a Muslim. He's an Arab. He's my best friend. I refute you. And if I can say one more thing that's very relevant. Everybody that I speak to who doesn't really know much about Israel and Palestine says, oh, the Jews and the Muslims, they've been fighting for thousands of years. And I said, first of all, there was no Islam thousands of years ago, so they couldn't have been fighting. But the reality is, in the Middle East, the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians were living quite harmoniously. There were, of course, episodes, but they weren't the violent episodes of today. And interestingly enough, if you study history, during the Crusades, the Christians who were living in the Middle East, in the Holy Land, sided with the Jews and the Muslims against the Crusaders. So it wasn't like they were there waiting to be liberated. So we need to really understand what the past was, so we don't have to make the same egocentric, selfish mistakes again and again.
Thank you, David. Can I ask you how you can enable people to learn that kind of history that you're talking about so they understand the situation? It's not so easy to do that.
You know, it's kind of what Ghassan said. If you are committed, this situation comes up over and over again. This morning, I was at the dentist, and this is kind of why I bring up this example. And the dentist said those words to me, oh, They've been fighting for thousands of years. They'll never live together. And I said, sorry, but that's not accurate. And as soon as I said that, he was so happy. He was so open. It was like I took a weight off him. So if we have the courage to open our mouth or open our heart, really, we can do great work. Peace is very possible. It's not impossible. It's very possible. But it's up to us. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us because we're here.
Thank you.
I would like to say something, Jenny.
Yes.
What I agree 100% with the David Lacey. Really, it's great. But I want to say something. It's as I say, Islam and Judaism and Christianity, they used to live along the history together in the Middle East. And one of the events happened when the Crusades came to the Holy Land and they killed 70,000 Muslims. At the same day, they signed the petition that a peace treaty. They killed 70 Muslims and they killed 40,000 Christians. And the people began to ask, why 40 and 70? I say, this is the Christian that they found there. If they found more, they will kill more. The thing is, it's not, we will not blame anyone. It's happened, but we need to learn from the past how to move to the future. It's as I say, you know, the world, as the Christians say that the Muslims, the world before they had a game against the communism and a game against China. Game today, the game it's about Muslims, and maybe tomorrow it's about Christian. I don't know, or Jewish. We need to be very open and very clever and very clean to understand it's a game. Don't enter to the runner game. Don't enter there. And you ask how to learn the history. The history is there. We can find, as David, let's say now, it's within us. Like you ask God, oh God, I ask you something, and after 1 hour say, yeah, God didn't answer me. He answered, but you couldn't know how to get the answer. You need to be clever how to get the answer. This is the piece.
Thank you. Please, anybody who'd like to, please either stick your hand up and I'll unmute you, or write in the chat box. But in the meantime, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to call on Michael Macy, who is the Abrahamic Reunion representative in the UK, to find out how the organisation works here in the UK. Michael, if you could unmute yourself, please. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Jenny, it's always good to see you. And a number of you I have seen earlier on TalkMatters programs. So it's good to see you again. The Abrahamic Reunion is registered as a charity in the UK. We have a small group of people. We were certainly much more active before the pandemic. Certainly David and Ghassan have both been here many times. We had an ongoing program in the prisons. We sort of looked around and saw a tremendous amount of interfaith work being done, and looked for an opportunity, looked for an opening, and realized that there was work being done in the prisons, but there wasn't a lot of interfaith work being done. There was a lot of Muslim outreach to prisons, and there was Jewish outreach to prisoners, and there was Christian outreach to prisoners, but there really wasn't anybody who sort of approached everyone and offered them that viewpoint. So we've been active in the prisons to some extent. We're also working with the Faith and Belief Forum and with Jenny at TalkMatters on a new initiative, which we hope to kick off on December 1st, I think is the date we're shooting for, which is to bring together as many of the interfaith organizations as we can to sort of say, okay, now what are we not doing? What can we do to move beyond tolerance to celebration so that we're not just tolerating each other, we're actually celebrating each other with each other. So anyway, we're a very small organization here, but as things open up, we hope to, again, act as a catalyst and to bring back, I think the last time Ghassan, he and I were at the Lord Mayor, the Mayor of London's Iftar, I think.
Mm.
So they have been active here, and we hope to have people back. I know David's been here many times. He and I have met with a number of rabbis and priests and imams here.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I have a question here about when there was a spike in conflict, the time in May of the Gaza war, how that affected the work that you were doing, the group meetings that you were taking. Maybe Anat could help us with that one, please.
After the conflict that we have here, we decided to build an association, a new one. It's called the Bnei Avraham Shalom. The meaning is the peace of Ibrahim children. And we decided to make a lot of projects. We have priest, we have Sufim, like Ghassan, Jewish people there. We are people that we decided, it's from all over the country, and we decided to start with the religious leaders. And we told to make even a project in the prison with prisoners that like I don't know if they will let us doing something with them, with terrorists and violence in the family. And we have many projects that we want to do. I'm the chairman of the association with another woman called Najah. She's a Muslim woman. And we have many plans to do something after what we had here in Israel. I want to add a little story that for me, it's a symbol for changing. When Ghassan was living in Jerusalem, in the east of Jerusalem, we met every week to make programs, to work together, to study together. And every time that I arrived, I started in a grocery. I was stopping a grocery of a Muslim person. And I helped for one family that in that time, they didn't have a lot of money for food. And they had a lot of children. And with Ghassan, I just buy things and we brought them. Once I bought too much and I didn't have enough place in my car. So I called Ghassan to come and help me with his car. And I never spoke with the grocery man. I just took the things, pay and went every week. And when I put the things in my car, he asked Ghassan who I am. And he said that it's the first time that he saw a Jewish woman come to help somebody here. And just for the little meeting, he changed his point of view about the Jewish people. And he decided to believe that we can live together. And he's living in Jerusalem. It's the center of Israel. It's a place that all the religious people, Jewish, Arabs, all live together in Jerusalem and live okay. They have a good relationship. And even though he said this, and I didn't thought about it, I didn't think I'd change his mind just from the half hour that I was in his grocery. And for me, it's a symbol that what we can do here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, about talking to people, talk matters. Yes. Yeah. I'm interested in the Druze community because we haven't got any representatives tonight from the Druze community, but that is part of your remit. And I don't know very much about the Druze community and how they fit in to your organization. Perhaps one of you would like to enlighten us all. Maybe other people don't know that much about the Druze. I don't know.
I would like to say about the Druze.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anat, she mentioned that we have Muslims, Jewish, and Christians, and also Druze. We have Siham Halabi. She's one of the great women leaders in Israel of interfaith and dialogue. Also, we have the head of the Druze all around the world, Sheikh Muwaffaq Tarif. He is with us and he is giving prayers every week, the vigil prayer, and also other Druze people, they are work with us. And come to say that the Druze community in Israel, they are a peaceful people, and they run toward to be in any work for connecting the people together and understanding and studying together. You know, we Abrahamic Reunion, we have a very great connection with the Druze, with the Muslims, with the Jews, and with the Christians there. But and the Druze so happy to have us there. We also creating iftar. It's a breakfast of Ramadan in Dalit al Carmel of the Druze community there. And this is in short because our time is so tight. But I would like to mention something about what Anat say, that we are as Abrahamic Reunion after the war with Gaza. We decided to create a new amuta, a new organization in Israel to create more and more projects. And really, we prepared lots of projects for next year. We hope to show you and to inform you about this project in the future.
Just a quick point back to the Druze. First of all, again, I always thank Ghassan and Anat. Really, it's so wonderful to be here with you. But the prophet of the Druze, in English, we would say Jethro. And we often forget this was the father-in-law of Moses. So the overlapping began not yesterday, not just with a new board, but thousands of years ago. So the connection is not new.
Thank you, Jenny. I mean, it's been really inspirational. I work with Saja and FODIP, the Forum for Discussion of Israel-Palestine, interfaith organisation. I'd like to ask you how you bring other organisations to work with you. What is it that you sort of offer people to sort of come on board with you in Israel and the West Bank and so on, and wherever you work? How is it that you encourage people to do that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's a very deep work. I agree with you. It's a very sensitive also question, because sometimes when you'll have the same organizations working together, there is sensitivity between the organizations. But we say we will not have any thing like this. We need to go and to knock the doors. And then we began to talk to the people. We say, all of us, we work to the same goal. And all of us, we bring the people to be in peace and to know one another and to create, kind of a quiet and safeness and so on. Then come to work together. And slowly, we began to be in connection with many organizations. First of all, we invited them to us, and they came and they were happy to see our project, especially during the iftar in Ramadan and during the feast of Christmas, or the one of the Jewish holidays. Anat and I remember we went and others together, they came with us, and Shahabuddin, David Less, he was with us also in Israel in many events. We invited these people to come and to talk and to give their comments and their thinking, their ideas to us. And then we began to be in a good connection with most of the organizations in Israel. I think it's a very important thing to do, because if we work, sometimes we need to unite our power, our effort to be together. We will succeed more and more. But also, it's very important to be lots of organizations, because we need the differences. Through these differences, we can create more and more. through the educational system, through the human system, and so on. And many people comes to be with us. It wasn't easy in the beginning, but slowly it began to be available, and we created lots of good connections with other organizations.
If I may add, we're also not afraid to make mistakes. We've made mistakes. We've messed things up. Peace is not neat. Peace is messy. And one of our great mentors and founders, Ilyas Jabor, said, "Give me peace with problems better than war. Give me peace with problems better than killing." So yeah, we reach out to other organizations. Ghassan and Anat, they're great communicators. And sometimes it doesn't work. But we always go with open hands. And we hope for the best.
Lovely, thank you. And we have
I want to add something.
Yes,
I don't know if you can hear it. We have an exercise of the alarms here in Israel today, all over. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's now. They make it now. And think about the little children that want to go to sleep now. This is what they have. The exercise you mean, Ghassan?
Alarms.
Yeah, of the alarms, yeah. They are looking that if it's working and things, and we have it now. I don't know if you can hear it because it's a little far away.
Also, Abed sent me from Nazareth the same.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like
the alarms,
the alarms.
The alarm that you have when you have war, bombs, and things like this. So we have a special alarms here. So they try it now. They sent us a message in the telephone, in the cell phone, that we have it today, and they start it now in the evening.
This really shows the kind of world that you're living in, the
Yeah.
kind of conflict that's all around you, and the difficulties. We have a question from Irene, and she says, are any of you aware of programs to teach children that those of a certain other faith don't deserve to live? How do you deal with them? Nasty one.
Okay. Anyone or what?
Yes, whoever you want.
Okay. I will say that yes, we got to many schools, and we try to create a kind of a proposal for educational programs to teach the children. But before that, Anat and I, about long ago, some years ago, we brought the families with their children to meet together. Usually, the families come without their children, or the children come without their families. But we decided to bring these people with their as a full family, and they came. And why? Because in Abrahamic Reunion, we say we need to show the children their parents in action of peace. We show them how to prepare food together, to eat together. If you want to eat, you need to be together. How we can study together, how we can play as parents together, and also we prepared for them areas to play together. Why we did this? And you remember, Anat and I, many people say they cannot understand one another. They speak Hebrew and this is Arabic, and they are children. And we say they will understand. Why? Because one day, in short, I invited to a Jewish circumcision with one of the rabbis of my friends from Mea Sharim. You know, it's Mea Sharim. And I say, this is the time of Zizi. My daughter Zizi, Zainab, she was about 5 years old. And I went there and I asked the rabbi, do you have children? He said, yes, there. I said, okay. Zizi went there to the children. We finished. All the time I'm thinking about Zizi, how she can understand, or they can understand her. In the way back, I say, how it was for you? She said, it was great. I say, what happened? She said, we played together, we discussed together, and we discussed about this subject and this topic and this thing. I say, in which language? She say, I speak in Arabic. I spoke in Arabic. And the daughter of Dov, she say, she spoke in Hebrew. I say, what, Zizi? She say, yes, father. I say, what did you say? What the topic was? She say, 1, 2, 3. I arrived home. I called Dov. I say, oh, Dov, do you have your daughter next to you? You say, yes. Ask her how it was for her. And he asked her. She said, it was great. And we talk about this and this and this. Did you understood Zizi? She said, yes. And he asked me, and your daughter? I say, she understood your daughter. And I say, you see, the natural human being nature doesn't need words, need connection, need hugging, need understanding without explanation.
Thank you. Thank you. Terry asks, maybe David, this one is for you. Do you have any dialogue with government? Are they supportive? What's the last bit? And are they interested?
I can give a general answer, and then maybe I'll defer to Ghassan and Anat. Some are and some aren't. You know, it's like everything else. There are some people who are deeply committed in government, and there are some people who are deeply committed to their own job, so to speak. They just want to get reelected or stay in office. But do we try? We try often, and we try quietly. We are not political.
Thank
you. Ghassan, do you want to add to that?
Okay, I will add, and I'll pass to Anat. I think I cannot add more than what Shabuddin say, David, let's say, but we have a good connection with governments, not only our government, and it's not in any political dimension. It's in a human connection with other people from different places, and we hope this government will support us. I hope, and without to say, you need to say this or this or this, because it's very important to be independent in your work to achieve more and more peace. Not?
Some of them make a lot of separation. Some of them, I think, they really want peace. We have a connection with some of them, some of the ambassadors, but for my experience, it's better not to talk about it because they're very
be careful.
Yeah, be careful. They don't like to talk about it. I think they still, some of them still afraid from the people here, that what they will have to say about it. But yes, we have connections, and I really, really hope that this government will support and they do something about it. Well, after many years, that was really difficult here. And now we start to see the change. I hope so, inshallah.
Michael, do you want to add anything? Michael was in government.
I agree with really what David and Ghassan and Anat said. We stay out of government. You know, they will follow people if the people are willing to lead. If people have a vision of peace. I mean, I'll do again. We're all storytellers, but I was very involved in the Northern Ireland peace process, and everybody said the same thing. I mean, realize that conflict started with the Norman invasion. That was a hot conflict for centuries in many different ways. And I would go up there and people would say it's impossible. These communities can never get along. There will never be peace. And then there was. And it really was a shift in how people perceive things. Are all the conflicts resolved? No. And I think that's often, and this alludes to what Ghassan and Anat and David had said, Peace is not the resolution of all conflict. Peace is the lack of violence. You still may disagree. You're just not going to kill each other over it. And it creates space. And I've seen the incredible transformation in Northern Ireland from when I first went there in 1983 to what it is today. Every police station is now a housing project or a new hotel. And it is just transformational, and it's the people who did it. The politicians, of course, had a role to play. But if that shift had not occurred among people, if the people had said, we're just not going to participate and contribute and support violence, it wouldn't have happened. So peace is very, very possible. And it's not going to come from the politicians. They'll follow if people lead.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, David, Anat, Michael, Ghassan, for doing this work. We're really, really working at peace. Thank you. And thank you for being with us this evening and for telling us about what you're doing. And thank you, everybody who's come to listen and hopefully to support the work of the Abrahamic Reunion. We're working so hard to talk and to meet and to build trust with other people. The situation's really, really complex and tough, but I believe that the initiative that we've heard about tonight and the other initiatives that TalkMatters supports are really, really important. We might not be able to change anything at the moment politically, but we can certainly work with grassroots organizations, raising awareness of the work that's going on, enabling more and more Jews and Arabs to talk and meet each other. So thank you all for coming. I hope that I'll see you again at another event and that you'll follow the work that we're doing on TalkMatters. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. We have more inspirational speakers joining us for our regular webinars. Visit talkmatters.info to join our mailing list and come along to our next live webinar.